Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's December 22, 2022. It's a Thursday, and you are watching Agenda. Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for being subscribers of Cignal TV, for viewers on Facebook and on YouTube. Maraming salamat po. And of course, thank you to PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet for giving us the line that keeps us going. Okay, thank you very much to our friends from Aparito, Zamboanga. Maraming salamat po. Okay, today we are going to have a professorial sort of conversation with two professors regarding the economy. What are you supposed to know for 2023? What can you do for 2023? Is it going to be a beautiful, positive, optimistic, hopeful year? Or is it going to be a year where your patience, your discipline, and your financial acumen will be tested? We will be talking about all of that with our two professors this morning. But of course, before any of the interviews, let's get the day started with our daily starter. And today is very simple. A lot of what weighs you down isn't yours to carry. We have a term for that in church. We call them false burdens. Many people have this false burden or this false sense of responsibility. We take on more than we are supposed to take on. We don't know how to delegate. We don't know how to differentiate which is part of our direct responsibility versus what should be others, and especially things that we have no control about. Sabi nga ni Lord, why worry? Why worry if you cannot even count the hair on your head? And that lesson is quite interesting because his point was, that is how complicated worrying can be. If you cannot count the hair on your head, what makes you think you can control certain things in life? So I repeat, a lot of what weighs you down isn't yours to carry. So this Christmas, let's learn to let go and let God. Just chill, do what you're supposed to do, be responsible for what you're responsible for, and at the end of the day, let the chips fall where they may. Bahala na kung iba ang pumulot, problema na nila yun. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star, December 22, 2022, and the headline is BBM orders sugar importation anew. Okay, ayan na po. Despite the peak harvest season and the thrust to reduce dependence on imports, President Marcos has ordered the importation of refined sugar anew as the price of the commodity continued to spike year on year. Okay, the importation will be 64,050 metric tons of refined sugar through the minimum access volume mechanism that refers to the volume of a specific agricultural product allowed to be imported with lower tariff as part of the country's commitment to the WTO. The short version is, kikita na naman ang mga importer. Okay, so now let's go to the top of the front page at the header. Marcos vetoes 3 items in 2023 budget. The president vetoed certain insertions or features in the 2023 budget, among which would allow the revolving fund for DepEd TV and to others, and the president said that belongs to the realm of legislation. Unless there is a law providing for it, it is considered deemed veto by the president. Kumbaga, hindi nyo pwedeng gastusin yung pera ng gobyerno unless it is mandated or specified by law. Okay. Meanwhile, that big photo that you see there was yesterday's big attraction and big concern, especially for office goers and motorists. That, of course, refers to the Manila Film Festival Parade of Stars that cruised along Quezon Avenue yesterday afternoon. And after 2 years, the parade was back on the streets of Metro Manila, making many people happy, but many drivers frustrated. Okay, kasi bulbul daw po ang traffic, pero it wasn't that bad, okay? Wasn't that bad. Okay, now, DFA slams China's new reclamation moves in Spratlys. The Department of Foreign Affairs yesterday expressed serious concern over reports of China's new reclamation activities in unoccupied features in the South China Sea, particularly in the Spratlys, including Langkiam Cay, known as Panata Island in the Philippines. Okay, so yun po, nagbakod na naman. Illegal settler. Tawag dyan, illegal settler, pero may high-tech na pang bakod. Okay, and then to the center of the front page, we have that photo of President Bongbong Marcos with Senator J.B. Ejercito, Speaker of the House of Representatives Martin Romualdez, Vic Veloso, and Secretary Jose Rizalina Acuzar, and Palayan City Mayor Viandrel Nicole Cuevas as they do the ceremonies for the groundbreaking of an 11-hectare housing project under the Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino in Barangay Atate in Palayan City, Nueva Ecija. Okay, finally, nag-umpisa na sila. Sana merong malapit-lapit sa Metro Manila para rin dun sa mga laging nasusunugan dyan sa Addition Hills. Meanwhile, plunder raps are being eyed versus Bureau of Corrections Officer in Charge, Gregorio Catapang. Okay, Bucor over supposed unfinished construction of building at the new Baliberan prison in Muntinlupa. Interesting lahat. This is what you call literally, almost literally throwing the kitchen sink. Kumbaga lahat ng pwedeng ibato na sa kanya kasi ayan, talaga nagkaka-personala na sila. Okay. Meanwhile, netizens, attention please. Netizens told price tags a must under law. Okay, because online PM or private message of retailers' prices is illegal. Yan po mga nagsasabing PM is the key or yung HM, how much? Ang sagot PM hindi raw po dapat pinapayagan yan. Okay, so that particular item is going to be something we will be discussing here in the future on agenda. Okay. Meanwhile, the Criminal Investigation Detection Group or CIDG declared that the 34 missing sabongeros still deemed missing. Okay, kasi may mga nagsasabi or assuming, also, Secretary Crispin Remulla was quoted as saying that they are probably all dead. Well, according to the CIDG, they cannot be declared dead unless there is a body of evidence found. Dito, marami-raming body of evidence kasi 34 bodies ang kailangan hanapin kung sasabihin they are dead. Okay, so sorry, I'm not making fun of it, but medyo yung choice of words kasi ng mga opisyal, sabihin ba namang body of evidence? You're looking for a body nga, 34 bodies to be exact. Anyway, while they are arguing over semantics and figures of speech, the 34 sabongeros are still missing. You have how many? 150,000 police who cannot find 34 missing sabongeros. Although they know 3 policemen who were involved in the disappearance of the sabongeros. Ayan po, I'm just making a point here. Okay. And now, last but on the bottom of the front page, we have Sari Sari Social Enterprise Store ribbon cutting with Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala and officials of BPI and Ayala Land. So, ayan po, magandang mga simulain yan ng Ayala. And last but not the least, SMC with San Miguel Corporation sets toll highways, toll holidays at SLEX and other roads. Magbibigay po ng libre, pamasko, walang bayad sa toll from, okay, I better read this properly because baka ako ang singilin ng SMC. Okay, Mr. Ramon Ang of San Miguel Corporation said the toll holiday begins at 10 p.m. alas 10 ng gabi of December 24 and will last until 6 a.m. of December 25. So, yung mga gustong magtipid, gustong bumiyahing walang traffic, you can drive out through all of the SMC SLEX tollways for free from December 24 to December 25. From 10 p.m. December 24, bago mag Noche Buena, and 6 a.m. December 25. Then, on December 31, 6 a.m., 10 p.m. pala, sorry, December 31, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. of January 1, 2023, libre na ulit. Okay, so we will now go to our interviews and let's roll out the video for our professors to give us our conversation today. Gab, roll out the Betamax, please.
Emmanuel Leyco is one of the respected economists in the country. He currently serves as president of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. Prior to this, Leyco was officer in charge and undersecretary for Finance and Administration at the Department of Social Welfare and Development.
Okay, let's start with Professor Leyco for this morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the program, Professor.
Good morning, Cito, and thank you for having me back. And
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Ang tanong, Happy New Year ba? That is the question on many minds, on many of the business people I have been meeting with or getting to have a talk with. They're asking me that question. Sabi ko, malay ko, pakialam ko, hindi naman ako economist. Now, you're sitting on the professorial chair this morning, Prof, and what's your reading? Is it going to be a Happy New Year? Is it going to be as bright and colorful as Martin Romualdez would have people think? Or is it going to be a concern for conservative management?
if we are going to use the happiness index, just like what Nepal is doing, our happiness will be high. And I think we have to recognize, acknowledge that happiness index and the GDP do not necessarily converge. So I agree, people will be happy during the season. We'll have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. However, when the GDP numbers come in, we will be dealing with the ironies, paradoxes of economics. While the economy might hit even 7%, relatively high, but I think if we go back to the base rate, our base rate was low. Remember, we're coming back from negative 9.3, and then last year we did, I believe, about 6%. This year we might go back to about even 7%. But does that translate to a recovery rate or the position that the Philippine economy should be in right now? I don't believe so. I think we're still on the road to recovery, and we hope that in terms of the recovery, that will be spread out, not only in the top tier income groups, but also those who lost their incomes, those who lost their businesses will be back in business. So in a nutshell, I'm going to say that it's a mixed bag, and most of the negative things will be carried, or the burden of the economic difficulties will be carried by the poor.
Okay, let's identify or clarify certain points. Everybody keeps talking growth rate of X%. But the people I have been speaking with, halo-halo ito, Professor, no? And they will say, Cito, what is the starting point or what is the point of reference? Saan ka nag-uumpisa o saan mo kino-compare? Kasi sabi nila, kung ang growth rate mo compared to 2018, 2019, baka malayong-malayo or mababang-mababa. Kung you are going to base it on the GDP or economic growth for 2021 or 2020, may gaganda kasi halos wala kang economic growth at that time. So how do you economists determine and to what reference point are we talking about?
If we are the cheerleader, I will go with the 2021 or the 2020. But if we are going to deal with the real situation, especially if our point of reference would be the living standards of the people who lost their jobs, people who lost their businesses, I think we have to use 2018 and 2019. In other words, we lost trillions of pesos during the COVID pandemic. And therefore, we need to go back and say, have those people who lost their jobs are back to the same income levels that they were in 2019. Those who had businesses in 2019 and lost their businesses, are they back in the same earning capacity as they were in 2019? And if we do that, I don't think we are back.
Okay, now, so having said that, as far as real business people are concerned, you are saying we should use 2018, 2019 as the reference point. Now, if we did that, what would our projected growth rate be? Because may mga kausap ako mga big time eh. Sabi nila, anong 5-6% pinagsasabi ng mga forecaster na yan? Eh, Amerika nga, hindi ganon kalaki ang growth rate. EU, hindi ganon kalaki. And China, what is to exempt the Philippines and make it possible for us to hit 5-6%?
Well, kung ang reference point that we are using at the low point, talagang 6-7% is doable. However, if we go back to the 2019, we should, if we lost 9.5% in our economy, first we have to recover 9.5%. So we're back to zero. Dapat sa 2020, nabawi na natin yung 9.5%. Pero in the succeeding years, we have to grow at least siguro mga 9%, no? Just to be able to go back. Not for just 1 year, but I think it will be a minimum of 5 years na we are growing at a minimum of 9%.
You know, Professor Leyco, I'm amazed because the very same figures you quoted and conditions are the same that were told to me by the CEOs. Some said we are on a deficit of 8%. If you are going to compare what should be our GDP versus what our serviceable loans are and what our operating needs are, kailangan nga daw na for the next 5 to 6 years, ang GDP natin tumama at a low of 8 to a high of 10 para lang mag-normalize. So, in other words, that's not going to happen. You have to be a magician in numbers to make that happen. So, bangkarote tayo.
Well, I think if we listen to the businesses or those who are running the businesses, they have the numbers. So they can make a comparison how they were doing in 2019 versus how they were doing in 2020, 2021, and even in 2022. So kung ako ang negosyante na recover ko lang sa market ko ay 10%, meron pa akong 90% na hahabulin. And then in terms of employment, I am only able to employ 20% of my previous workforce. Therefore, I can tell you immediately, I am not yet back. But that is not to say na walang nananalo, no? Walang nag-gain during this pandemic. Meron namang nag-gain during this pandemic. However, that is not the rule. That is not the general reality.
As they say in Tagalog, sila nag-gain. Sana all.
Sana all.
Okay, let's go. Let's go for a quick break, Professor Leyco, and for our viewers, please bear with me if I try to make this discussion very elementary because the people who are going to get hurt the most, yung mga masasaktan ng husto in 2023 in terms of the economy, are not the rich and the middle class. It will be those below the middle class and the poor. Kumbaga sa Bible, the rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer. We will go for a quick break. When we return, let's invite our second panelist also to our professorial lecture conversation this morning. We'll be right back. Okay, I thought they were going to roll out the intro. Joining us, our second panelist. Please roll out the video, Gabriel.
Ronilo Baliberan is a senior economist who teaches at the University of Asia and the Pacific. He is also the team leader for the infrastructure component of the USAID Deliver project. Aside from this, Baliberan is a licensed environmental planner and infrastructure specialist.
Okay, Prof. Baliberan, good morning. Welcome. You are a fellow of the Agenda School of Economics, kuno.
Good morning po. Merry Christmas.
Tara, tuloy natin. Inumpisahan na namin ni Professor Leyco. Medyo pinapatawa ko lang kayo pero medyo mabigat, malalim yung usapan regarding economic forecasts and the apprehension of business people to the fact that in order for things to be normal, the economy has to grow at least 8 to 10% because we have so much loans to service. And then, of course, of the requirement of the nation. Ngayon, lumalabas parang ang averaging nila 2 to 2.5 lang ang tinatakbo ng economy. What's your assessment?
Well, ang momentum naman talaga natin nasa 6 to 7%, no? So, with or without a very effective government, we are growing at 6 to 7%. Alisin mo lang yung factor na nagkaroon tayo ng lockdown because of the pandemic. No? So
but we can't remove that, Neil, because I mean that's a reality. So in fact, that's what I was talking about with Professor Leyco. Na what is our reference point? If our reference point is 2018, 2019, then 0-0 tayo. If it's 2021, then mag-umpisa kang 2021, anything you achieve is a good grade.
Yeah, pero kung anuin mo, ano ba yung naging source ng pagbagsak natin? Ang source ng pagbagsak natin is primarily the lockdown. So we were not able to go out, tapos yung mga malalakas na mga spenders ng economy natin, which are the teenagers and the young kids, no, sila yung gumagastos ng without regard for income. So
without respect for their parents' work and their lolos and their lolas pension.
Yes. At yan din yung mga malalakas mga chow sa mga OFWs na mga kamag-anak nila, no? Oy, padala ka naman ng ganito, ganyan. So those are the main sources of our money circulation na nawala because we blocked down our houses, no? So ngayon nawala na yon, and we've seen how our economy has bounced back strongly from being very mute doon sa paggastos natin. So you've seen that, no? So yung tourism natin, yung kasal, binyag, libing, concerts, so these are hovering around 30%, 40% growth for 2022. So ibig sabihin, malapit na natin kasi nag-down tayo ng negative 9.6% ng 2020. So malapit na nating ma-wipe out yung part ng negative. Ang problem na lang, sinasabi ng mga businessmen, well, nag-negative 9.6 ka pa, plus you lost the 6 to 7% na momentum in 2020. So kung i-add mo yon, no, yung 9.6 plus yung 7 plus another 7 for 2021, so may mga balanse ka pa na hinahabol. So therefore, kailangan mo mag-grow for the next at least for the next 5 years, 8 to 10% just to wipe out the 9.6 plus the 6 to 7% momentum of growth for 2020, 2021, 2022. No? Okay. So, and we are more or less following that track, and therefore makita mo yung third quarter, the forecasters have missed it miserably, no, na 6% ang average forecast for 2022 third quarter, but we hit 7.6, and in fact we are going to hit closer to 8% at the close of 2022.
Yeah, but what would be the total? Professor Leyco, you can come in anytime. No, what would be the average for the year 2022 in your estimation?
For the full year, we are closer to 8, no? Because we're waiting for the fourth quarter, and everybody's trying to figure that out, because the fourth quarter of 2022, remember, is the first holiday revenge holiday tong fourth quarter na to, no? So, and we've seen yung October and November, yung purchasing manager index, grabe yung taas ng purchasing managers index. And so these are leading indicators for GDP, and makikita natin na don't be surprised if we hit 8 for the full year of
but how truthful is that in terms of 2018-2019? Kasi pag ginawa ninyo yan na based on 2020-2021, or to even 2022, yes, from zero, meron kang 8%. Pero from pre-pandemic, may deficit ka. Professor Leyco.
Yes, actually, if we go back 2020, halimbawa, no, na nag 9.5 o 9.6% negative GDP tayo, ang lalim nung hukay na pinuntahan ng ating economy. Kung ang 2020 was a good year, at the minimum, dapat nag 0% na lang siya, no?
Yeah.
At the minimum. Pero nag 9.3, 9.6% negative growth rate siya, and therefore, dapat yan ang babawiin ng 2021. So, dapat naka 18% ka nung 2021, no? Yung straight arithmetic natin. Binawi natin yung 9.5% na losses natin, dapat naka-zero tayo, pero dapat nakabawi pa tayo, umakyat pa tayo. Pero the last few GDP estimates natin are just based on a very low GDP. So starting from negative. So anything, mas na 1, is already a positive. Pagkatapos the following year, yun ang magiging basis ng estimate kung nag-grow or hindi. So yung sa akin, rather than compute for the GDP year-on GDP growth rate, I think we need to go back to the base year of 2019 and then come up with a recovery rate. And I think the consensus among businesses and among those who think that the economy should grow and regain, or the recovery rate should be 9% for the next 5 years.
Okay. Habang may oras pa, I would like to ask both of you, kasi sinabi nga ni Professor Baliberan, maraming mga walang galang, walang respeto sa pinaghirapan natin at ginagastos yung pera natin na hindi naman silang namasukan. But while there is still time, what advice would you give to people? Because a lot of people have been asking me that. Kuya, will I buy a car? Should we invest in a condo? Should we buy property? Should we just forget about traveling abroad, etc.? Professor Baliberan, practicals tayo. Given this economic situation or realities, what should people be doing? What should people's attitude be? Yung regular na viewers natin, anong dapat na attitude nila for 2023?
Well, kung 80%, dalawa yung mundo natin sa Pilipinas, no? Yung mga walang pera, mahirap. 20%, yung 80% middle class, mga 1% mayaman, no? So, dun sa una, sa mga 80%, dahil nagkalat yung pera ng mga magulang ninyo, no? So try to look for opportunities na magkaroon ng negosyo, no? So sa Amerika, katakot-takot yung mga teenagers, mga people in their 20s na nagkakaroon sila ng mga technology startups, no? So and kayang-kaya ng mga Pilipino yun, makukulit ang mga utak natin, malilikot ang mga utak natin. So yung mga nauisip nila in terms of mga technological breakthrough, nag-create sila ng Facebook, nag-imbento sila ng Google, etc. Kayang-kaya rin natin gawin dito sa Pilipinas yun. And in fact, maraming mga bansa ngayon na ini-import ang mga Pilipino just to think for them, no? Kaya yung mga venture capitalists ng iba't ibang bansa nagre-recruit ng mga Pilipino para mag-isip, no? So we have this capacity for crazy ideas that will generate millions and billions of pesos, no? So
should we encourage young Filipinos to leave the country? Go abroad, go find jobs, go study abroad.
For me, ang ano ko diyan, free market, no. So but it's better now that we have all this technology. You can invent those startup ideas, technology startups without leaving your country. But kung ganun naman yung price differential, sige, pumunta ka sa ibang bansa pero ipadala mo, at kung mayaman ka na, bumalik ka na dito para magastos mo dito sa Pilipinas yung pera na kinita mo at umikot diyan at makatulong sa mahirap.
Professor Leyco, what about you?
If we look at the Family Income and Expenditure Survey by the Philippine Statistics Authority, a big majority of our people do not have any savings. And if we look at their consumption pattern, the poor, perhaps siguro yan mga 60 up to siguro 65% natin ang talagang walang sobra. The number one spending nila is not gadget. Number one spending nila is food. Unfortunately for our people, food is a major driver of inflation. And depending on which income group you belong to, kung ikaw ay fixed income, walang sobra, ang number one na bibilhin mo ay pagkain. Unfortunately, ang inflation ng food is so much higher than the 8% that we saw last month. Nasa double digit pa yan, depende kung saan ka nakatira. So, mahirap sabihin na wag kayong bumili. I don't think I can tell people not to buy food. So, for the majority of our people, they will go with how they feel, what they think they need. Ang pagkain ang una nilang bibilhin, and so be it. Ngayon, yung mga mayayaman, sila ang may mga options. Yung mga middle class na napakalipis, meron din silang option. Bibili ba sila ng mga durables? Bibili ba sila ng kotse, bahay, o mag-abroad? Yan ang medyo may mga konting options. And siguro, they can forgo. Pero yung mga mayayaman na pamilya, hindi natin kailangan ng advice. Meron silang mga investment advisor. At saka, ang strategy nila is to build a portfolio that will fight inflation. So these are inflation protection for their income. So for siguro 70% ng ating population, they will buy what they think they need and what they feel they need, which is food.
Okay, now what other measures can be done? Because I mean, people have expressed their concern about how the economy will fare in 2023. Now, do you think people or businessmen are going to hold back? Because some people are saying, medyo wala mo ng expansion, walang new acquisition, but there are people with so much surplus cash, you can't stop them. For the middle class viewers, Professor Baliberan, what do you think should be their direction for 2023?
In relation to business?
Yeah, into business.
So, yeah, kung if the second and the third quarter GDP are any indication, no? So ang laki-laki ng sipa in terms of number one, tourism, no? So the tourism before the lockdown, we already had 110 million trips by Filipinos. no? So 5 times the size of foreign tourists, no? So and now people are starting to go around the country, and this has huge implications on tourism. And when we say tourism, may kasama na rin dyan yung hotels, restaurants, resorts, kasama yung malls, and then kasama dyan syempre ang transport and logistics because you will have to supply food, and then may maraming kasama dyan on food manufacturing, and then of course agriculture. So kaya ang heavy ang formation of our businesses in relation to this, no? Trade, tourism, manufacturing, transportation.
But
so
how,
yan po yung mga
how sustainable is that? Because alam nyo naman, Professor Leyco, Professor Baliberan, sa Pilipinas, gaya-gaya eh. Diba? May magtayo ng beauty parlor, yung 3 kapitbahay magtatayo ng beauty parlor. And I'm worried that you're correct with your observation. There is a surge. There's a lot of revenge retail reaction, consumer reaction. But the money has to come from somewhere. And in an economy that's on a downturn, all the investment you make now may not be profitable 6 months from now.
Well, that's the surprise, no? So there are 2 things, no? Una, syempre, market forces yan, no? So kapag mga ganyan, may mga mamamatay, may mga mabubuhay in terms of trying out. Ano ba? Ay, magbebenta ba akong banana queue dito sa tabi nung isang resort, ganyan. So the market will sort it out, no? Of course, ayaw mo na masyadong magulo, so the role of the Department of Tourism and the LGUs will come in. But number 2, in relation yung sustainability naman of financing all these activities, we've seen surges in terms of our net additional income from abroad. Alam mo, hindi masyadong na-highlight na kaya tayo pumapalo talaga yung GDP natin and defying all forecasts is because our NPI, net primary income, or basically net additional income from abroad, has grown by 100% in the first quarter, 60% in the second quarter, and 94% in the third quarter.
Can you please explain that and where it's coming from? Kasi parang, to hear you say 100% growth, medyo teka, baka namali lang ang basa natin.
Yeah. Ang net additional income from abroad ay yung papasok minus palabas na dolyar coming from OFW remittances, Filipino companies from abroad, etc. And then ima-minus mo yung mga lumalabas, yung mga kita nitong si Starbucks, nire-remit niya doon sa Amerika, at yung mga Amerikano or mga iba pang mga foreigners na kumikita dito sa Pilipinas, nagre-remit pabalik, no, sa kanilang mga bansa. So pagka minus mo yun yung net additional income from abroad. So the increases for 2022 has been 100%, 60%, and 94% first, second, and third quarter respectively. So sabihin natin baka may basic effect.
Neil, tama yung sinasabi ko sa mga kaibigan ko na magtayo kayo ng maliliit na businesses abroad. Marami kayong surplus na pera dito. Kayo yung mga milyonaryo, bilyonaryo, why don't you send some capital to your sons and daughters, make them learn to put up businesses abroad, and then they would have profit centers. Professor Leyco.
I think I will focus back on the majority of our people.
Okay.
Kung tumaas man ang GDP o tumaas man ang net income from abroad, napunta ba yan sa maraming mga mamamayan? I think we have to again go back to the structure, no, ng ating population. Mas marami ang hindi nakakasabay doon sa patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin. Kaya ang maraming mga statistics, maraming mga numbers na pwede natin pag-usapan, pero ang point of reference na dapat sa palagay ko na dapat nating balikan ay kumusta ba yung mga fixed income earners? Paano ba ang katayuan nila ngayon? So pagka nag-8% ang ang ating inflation, ano nangyari sa purchasing power ng more than 60% ng ating population? And I think maski na i-sugarcoat natin na mataas ang net income from abroad, mataas ang ganito, mataas ang ganyan, ang GDP natin tumaas, pero saan ba natin nakikita yung growth ng GDP? Napupunta yan, kung tumaas ang value ng mga assets mo, ay mapupunta sa iyo ang gains ng ating economy. So for example, tumaas ang iyong shareholding, tumaas ang value because the stock market grew. O kaya ang iyong property ay na-appraise higher, so tumaas ka. Pero yung mga fixed income earners, ang purchasing power nila bumaba pa because of high inflation.
Okay, what can be done, gentlemen? Kasi okay, tama ka doon, Professor Leyco, no? Yung middle class, upper class, hindi mamamatay ng gutom yan. Hindi yan mababaon sa utang. But what can be done? What should be done? Listening to Professor Baliberan, I already figured, hey, we should be a little more nationalistic in our retail spending. We should be more proactive in getting income coming back to the Philippines. But what else can be done so that those who are in the lower bracket, pwede nating paambunan o makatikim ng grasya?
I was hoping, can you hear me?
Yeah. Professor Leyco.
Hello, I think I lost.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I was hoping that our economic managers will also resort to using fiscal intervention in managing our economy rather than the monetary intervention that they've been doing in terms of increasing interest rates, and hoping that inflation will be controlled by increasing interest rates. But that did not happen. I was hoping that our new budget will also reflect some social safety nets for our people in the anticipation that next year will not be a very good year. If we are to listen to the World Bank, to ADB, to JP Morgan, to Wall Street analysts, they are all projecting that there will be a global recession. It's not just a question of if, but it's just a question of when it will happen. And I think dito dapat naghahanda ang ating mga economic managers. When recession hits the US, where a lot of or a big majority of our remittances are coming from, paano mangyayari kung tayo ay mag-slow down ang ating remittances, which right now hitting 2.5 billion, 3 billion a month. Pagka nag-recession ang US, malamang sa hindi, matatamaan din ang mga Pilipino workers sa Amerika, and therefore ang remittances ay maaapektuhan din. So when that happens, is the government ready to provide a safety net for those who will lose income, who will lose remittances from their families abroad? Unfortunately, parang walang ganong anticipation ang ating budget. It's not a defensive economically itong budget natin. And I am really concerned about that.
Let's go for a quick break, gentlemen. And when we come back, I'd like to hear from Professor Baliberan what other recommendations he has. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. And with us are Professors Ronilo Baliberan, University of Asia and the Pacific, and Professor Emmanuel Leyco, President Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Pilipinas.
Maynila po.
Maynila, ito dapat. Bakit naging Pilipinas ito? Hala, Gabriel, nililigaw mo ko. Yung
Maganda.
Pilipinas sa Quezon City, yung Manila sa Manila. Anyway, okay. Professor Baliberan, ano ang masasabi mo? Because true, I mean, we have to be concerned about those lower than the middle class.
Yes. Una sa lahat, no, in the last 70 years, bago nag-pandemic, hindi naman naapektuhan ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas ng kahit na anong global recession. So, yan ang mangyayari pa rin sa 2023 and beyond. So, mag-global recession, maaaring mag-global recession sa 2023, pero ang Pilipinas, hindi yan magne-negative. No? As long as hindi tayo nila-lockdown, hindi tayo magne-negative. So, but having said that, yung growth ng Pilipinas in the last 70 years was just 5%. No? O parang umulan, bumagyo, umaraw, 5% yan in the last 70 years. But ang ideal growth ng isang bansa na GDP para ma-wipe out ang poverty is 8 to 10%. Yung sinasabi ng mga business sector ni Professor Leyco. No? So kailangan mag-hit tayo ng 8 to 10% para mawala yung poverty sa Pilipinas, which is around 18% right now. No? So anong kailangan? Ang nawawala doon na napabayaan natin ng matagal na panahon ay yung agrikultura, no? Yung agriculture. A large part ng ating poverty ay nanggagaling sa dalawang sektor, agriculture tsaka construction workers. Yan na may pinakamababang productivity sa buong Pilipinas. Ang average na sweldo ng mga nandoon sa mga bangko is 6 times higher than the average salary ng nasa agriculture and construction. So therefore, ang importante ay number 1, mag-increase yung productivity nila through modernization. Of course, maraming discussion tayong gagawin in relation paano natin maisasalpak yung mga modern technologies sa agriculture and construction. Pangalawa, paano natin mapapabilis yung dalawa, yung kita nilang dalawa, especially sa agriculture. I may recommend to the president para baka pwedeng expropriate natin yung mga executives from e-commerce and digital logistics at dalahin natin sa Department of Agriculture, no? Kasi ang e-commerce has grown by 93% in 2021 and grew by 23% for this year, 2022. And it's expected to grow by 25% over the next 3 years. Sabi yan ng Google. So therefore, kailangan natin ma-figure out paano natin isabay yung mga magsasaka, yung mga nasa agrikultura na sumabay dito sa mundo ng e-commerce, no? Kailangan mapunta sila kung may tinatawag na farm to market roads, no? Kailangan may farm to market na technology. And e-commerce po yung para mabilis makarating yung ating mga sinasaka, yung ating mga ani papunta doon sa mga bibili. Pangatlo, no? Para matulungan yan, syempre, 'di ba, may build better more nga yung ating gobyerno. At ang kailangan para bumilis yung build better more without resorting to additional loans. Sinabi na ng presidente yun, yung PPP, yung Public-Private Partnership. Meron tayong more than 3 trillion na surplus. Ibig sabihin na utang na lahat ng dapat utangin ng mga corporations at individuals. Meron pang more than 3 trillion pesos sa ating mga bangko na naghahanap. Anong gagawin natin dito? Sobra-sobra ang pera ng banking system ng Pilipinas. Pero in the meantime, naghahanap ng maraming projects para sa infrastructure na makakatulong again sa agriculture. So kaya kailangan nating i-push, no? I-push agad-agad. Sabi yung revision of the build, operate, transfer. I'm happy to know na pasado na siya sa House. So sa Senate na lang. So sana within the first quarter next year, ma-approve yung bagong batas ng PPP at magamit natin yan para pakinabangan yung sobra-sobrang pera na nagkalat sa Pilipinas at matulungan natin yung mga mahirap.
Well, you're correct it's good you pointed out that we have a long history, 70 years, 5% economic growth, but sadly when you compare to our neighbors, we got left behind. We used to be number 2 at the top, now we are number 3 at the bottom. What are your sentiments, gentlemen, dun sa sinabi sa akin na ang problema sa Pilipinas, hindi Pilipino. Ang problema sa Pilipinas, politiko. And I don't want to throw color at it or sarcasm, but the thing is, it is Congress and the Senate that determines budgets. It is Congress and the Senate that determines national direction. They're number one pakialamero. They're number one in investigating issues that are not their territory or not their concern, but they put their hands in it for pure publicity. Now, is there a way of remedying the situation where legislators simply legislate and does not meddle in who gets appointed, does not meddle in the appropriation or priorities of government?
Cito, if I may.
Yes, Professor Leyco.
Yes. And I think unless the political structure of our country is reformed, I think that will be the case for many more years to come. But before I even go into that, I would like to clarify, actually correct major issues na mention. No?
Mm-hmm.
That in the last 70 years, there were no global impact doon sa economy ng Pilipinas. I think I am old enough to remember 1998. No, when we had the Asian crisis, bagsak ang economy natin. I think I am also young enough to remember subprime in 2008. Apektado tayo noon, ano? Ang question lang is, was it so severe? It was not that severe. Apektado tayo, but it was not severe. And in fact, some economists are saying hindi tayo masyadong naapektuhan kasi we never left the port. Hindi tayo nag-sail. Pero these days, ang economy natin is so globalized, it will be difficult to say that when there is a global recession that the Philippines will not be affected. There were so many steps, there were so many moves that we did in the last decade that the Philippine economy is so intertwined now. Pagka bumagsak ang economy ng Amerika, hindi lang tayo lalagnatin, tayo ay tatrangkasuhin, baka ma-COVID pa tayo. At ang Europe naman, pagka nagkaroon din sila ng economic dislocation, malaki din ang magiging epekto sa atin yan. And that is precisely what we are seeing now because of the war in Ukraine, because of the withholding of importations of fuel, apektado tayong lahat. So,
Okay.
yes,
Unfortunately, Professor Leyco, Professor Baliberan, we are down to our last minute. So siguro one quick question na lang, both of you, you can say yes or no. Are we correct? Kaming mga nasa media, we have been saying cash is king in 2023. Hold on to your cash.
Correct.
Professor
pero
Leyco.
not so much. Gumastos din kayo. Enough savings pero gumastos din kayo kasi ang paggastos ng bawat pamilyang Pilipino ang makina ng ating ekonomiya, no? So huwag kayong masyadong matakot doon sa looming global recession. 110 million Filipinos tayo, many young and growing population. We have our own domestic economic strength. And so if we only believe na may pag-asa tayo na hindi tayo pababayaan ng Diyos sa gitna nitong global recession na to, then our economy will still function as it is and in fact even grow by 7 to 8% next year.
Professor Leyco, cash is king 2023?
It has always been king from the beginning. Pagka may pera ka, okay ka. Pero I think we have to also go back to my premises earlier. If we say happiness, if we measure happiness index, it will not reflect the GDP. So ngayong Pasko, maraming magiging masaya, pero not necessarily puno ang bulsa.
Okay. And doon sa mga may cash this Christmas, remember, if you are married, the cash goes to the queen. And to those of you who have surplus, please share the cash. para lahat naman makatikim. Okay, thank you, Professors Baliberan, Professor Leyco. Maraming salamat. Merry Christmas to both of you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas, Professor Neil.
Thank you very much. We hope that managed to clear up some points and positive, negative. It's all about the information. You decide how you're going to live your life and use your money in 2023. Let's go to our blessing for this week. The best Christmas gift is to realize how much you already have. And if you have so much, please be a blessing to others. In all seriousness, be a blessing, because I know personally from experience, God will always recognize the blessing you have been. Thank you. Please keep it here on One News.